is totally false. The fact is you can access that regions, you can access some of the states even when your eyes are wide awake. In fact, that's what geniuses do all the time. Geniuses can access altered states while they're performing the very thing that they are a genius at. So the reason we call them, I call them involuntary signals, is because I want you to know the distinction. You can be wide awake and you can get an involuntary signal as a form of communication with your unconscious mind. Now, most of us already do this because that's what an intuition already is. An intuition is when your unconscious is knocking at you first and giving you a sense of release and that. But what we're doing now is the other way. Well, we are setting up an explicit formal language so that we can consciously initiate a conversation with the unconscious mind with an involuntary system. So with the unconscious mind. So we want to initiate a conversation, a formal conversation with the unconscious mind. And the way you validate, is this really from the unconscious mind, is by setting up a formal language that involves your involuntary system. Does that make sense? So it's very simple, and these are things you can even measure on a coma patient. Like sometimes when you look, even on a coma patient, they have these things called functional MRI these days, and you can actually set up a communication with the unconscious mind with an involuntary yes and an involuntary no. Now, when we have worked, or somebody in our team has worked with people who are in an ICU, a lot of times the involuntary signals have been twitches around the eyes. It has been, it's very interesting because Sakshi's father recently had this challenge where he was in the ICU because of COVID, and he had a lot of comorbidities, which is like he had like first of all there were two infections together, and second his heart was only functioning at 45% before the COVID, and he had diabetes and everything. So he was in a very critical state. The doctor said the chances look slim that it's possible that he may not come back. Now, what is interesting was he was knocked out, unconscious. But when Sakshi walked into the ICU and she started facing him and she started talking to him, there was a lag of about 2 minutes, and she did give involuntary response. So these are things that can happen when a person is in a coma. It can happen when they are unconscious, but not coma. It can happen when you look like you're hypnotized. It can happen with the eyes closed. It can happen with children while they're sleeping. It can happen while your eyes are totally awake. So, like right now. So the first and foremost belief that you have to get right for this to work for you easily and for you to become really good with installation is to recognize you do not need hypnosis. So what was in the ancient Stone Age days called as a prerequisite to access the involuntary system or the unconscious. What are your, how do you feel about what I just said? What are your thoughts about it? It happens so easily when you know how to, yes. It's not taking the trance because it's skipping the trance and the rituals, but taking the person into an altered state. So a lot of people can get into superior altered states with your eyes open. You remember having the time discussion yesterday? It's skipping the ritual.
Going directly to the states. And that's fascinating because
yeah. Yeah.
So anybody who's
that's what I like about Bruce Lee. He broke the entry barrier. So I think
that's a form of trance.
Yeah. One of the things that Bruce Lee did that was very exciting is, the Chinese used to have, and by the way, the Chinese are extremely good at martial arts. So just to give you a reference, one of my friends, he was an Israeli Jew.